We're still on perimeters and areas of plane shapes. Next is the square. A square is a special rhombus. We know a rhombus has all sides equal. Now what makes a square a special rhombus? In a square, just like a rectangle, all the angles, the interior angles are equal. That all the interior angles are 90 degrees. Now our concern is on the perimeter and area. We know that the basic definition for a perimeter is what? The perimeter of an object is the total boundary length. So if I'm looking for the perimeter of a square, that was simply what? D, as shown in this figure, plus D, plus D, plus D, where D represents the length of each side, and they are all equal. So I can just say 4 times the length of a side. That will give me the perimeter of a square. And the area of a square, of course, just like a rectangle, length times breadth, that will be D times D, and that gives us D squared. There's nothing too special about a square. So let's set out and take some sample problems concerning square. The first one we have here is, if the perimeter of a square is 64 centimeters, calculate its area. I'm looking for the perimeter of a square. So I'm looking for the area of a square. We know that if the area of a square, if the length of the square is D, then the area will simply be D times D. But we are told that the perimeter is what? 64. The perimeter is supposed to be D plus D plus D plus D, which is 4D. So we are simply saying that the perimeter is 64, which is equal to what? 4D. From here we can obtain the length of each side of the square as 64 divided by 4. And that means our D is what? 16. And that will enable us to find the area, which is going to be 16 times 16. Let's write this out. So you can see there we did the area. And the area is supposed to be D square, but we do not have information. But yet we are told that the perimeter is 64 and perimeter is 4D. From there, we obtain our D as 16. Having gotten the value for D, we progress to find what? The area of the square. And as you can see, area of the square is what? D square, which is 16 times 16. And that gives us 256. I think I did this in nursery 1. Nevertheless, we are still treating secondary school mathematics. Let's take another problem. Sample problem 2 here says that a square mat measuring 30 centimeters by 30 centimeters. Alright, this should be a square mat measures 30 centimeters by 30 centimeters. How many of these mats will cover a floor of 2.7 meters by 10 meters? We have a floor. Let's make a rough sketch. We have a floor. Alright, excuse me there. We have a floor 2.7 by 10. And then we have square mats. That's one mat. And you want to place them to cover this area. We are asked to find the number of what? Mats that will cover this area. So first I need to know what is the area of this floor. Area of floor will be what? Will be 2.7 times 10, length times breadth, and that will give us 27 meters square. And then the area of the mat, each mat, of course, will be 30 times 30, but mind you, this is in centimeters, so convert each of that to meters, and that will be 30 divided by 100 to give us 0.3 meters times 30 divided by 100 again to give us 0.3 meters. Multiplying this out, we should have 0.09 meters square. So that's the area of each mat, and this is the area we want to cover. So how many of the mats are we going to require to cover a total area of what? 27 meters square. Of course, what do? Simply divide the area of the floor by the area of the mat, each mat. Let's look at our next slide. So that's it. Number of square mats needed will be the area of floor divided by area of each mat. Now the area of floor is 2.7 meters by 10 meters. Okay, this here we are converting meters to centimeters. So we have 270,000 centimeters square, and each square mat is 30 by 30. That's 900 centimeters square. So number of mats will be 270,000 meters square divided by centimeters square divided by 900 centimeters squares, and that gives us exactly 300. Let's take our last example. A rectangle 9 centimeters long is equal in area to a square which has a perimeter of 24 centimeters. Find the width of the rectangle. This might sound a little bit tricky, but let's look at this. We have a rectangle there. And we are told that this rectangle is equal in area to a square. Which has a perimeter of what? Of 24. If it has a perimeter of 24, of course you will know that each of the sides will be what? Will be 6, 6, 6, 6. Yes, because the perimeter of a square is 4D, where D is the length of each side. So if this is 24, 4D, our D will give us what? Will give us 24 divided by 4, and that gives us 6 each. Now we are told that the two of them, the rectangle, has an equal area to the square. First, what is the area of a square? Area of a square is D square, that is 6 times 6 in this case. And the area of our rectangle is supposed to be the length times breadth. We are given here that the length of the rectangle is 9, but we do not know the width of the rectangle. We know that the length is 9. Of course, the area of the rectangle will be what? Length times its width or breadth. And of course, this is 36, area of the square. This is 9W, area of the rectangle. From here you can see what that the width will simply be what? W equals to 36 divided by 9, and that will give us 4. But let's see it now. Next slide. Area of rectangle is equal to area of square. That's what the question says. Area of rectangle is what? Length times breadth. Area of square is D times D. What's our D? Perimeter of square is 4D, which is 24, and that gives us that the length of each side of the square is 6 centimeters. Now we advance. Substituting the length of the rectangle, which is 9, times the breadth, is going to be equal to what? Area of the square, which is D times D, that's 6 times 6. And then finally we have that the breadth is 36 divided by 9, which gives us 4 centimeters. I think we still have one more problem to look at here. We have one more problem. Find the length of the side of a square that is equal in area to a rectangle measuring 45 by 5. This is very similar to the last one. Again, we are looking for what? We are told that the area of a square, area of square, is equal to what? Area of rectangle. That's what the question is saying. Area of rectangle will be length times breadth. That's 45 times 5. And area of square is supposed to be what? D times D, which is D square. 45 times 5 should give us, this is 25, take 2, and this is 225. So D square is 225. What's our D? Of course, you will agree that D is therefore the square root of 225, which gives us 15 centimeters, which means our square, the length of the square, each of them will be 15, 15, 15, 15. Let's write this out neatly. So that's the area of rectangle equals to area of square. Length times breadth is d times d. And there we have our d as 15 centimeters. That brings us to the end of this clip. I hope to see you in the next video clip. Thank you.
Thank you.